Hey guys, it's me, cyoubx. I've tried making this video many times now. So Gan just released this new cube called the Gan 356 Air M, I think. And Dana Yee made a fantastic video overviewing the mechanism and how it performs and everything else. And the Cubicle also released a video. And I watched both of those videos. And at first I was kind of excited because I was like, oh, new Gan Cube. I like Gan Cubes. I own a lot of Gan Cubes. Let's see what this one's about. But once Dana showed the mechanism, I realized there was no way I'm going to support this cube. There's no way I'm going to get this cube to review because it just doesn't make sense. A common question I get a lot is basically what the differences are between all the different 56mm Gan cubes. And it's a fair question because they're literally like all the same thing with very, very minor differences. So when I first got back into cubing, a couple months or a few months ago now, I was browsing the Cubicle looking at different Gan cubes that existed, and I was completely overwhelmed because there were, 8, 9 products that all looked kind of the same. They weren't really priced that differently. There was a 356M and the RS, which were cheaper, but otherwise everything else was just expensive. But luckily, as a sponsored cuber, I was able to actually just get all of them and test all of them myself. And at that point, I actually wanted to make a video similar to the one I'm making today, talking about the differences, but it felt like the video would be too negative, and I didn't want to come back to YouTube making such a negative video, especially after I had just made a video talking about how gimmicky the XS's tensioning system is. I felt bad making 2 negative videos in a row, but this new Air M cube that just got announced, that's the last straw. So what I'm showing on the screen right now is this diagram I made that basically shows what the differences between all the cubes are. And it's really quite simple. There's sort of 3 main core or tensioning systems that Gan has released in the past year or so. And then there's 2 types of pieces. There's the pieces from the Gan X and there's the pieces from the Gan XS. And to be quite frank, those pieces are so similar that they're literally interchangeable. Like I could make a hybrid cube using pieces from both puzzles. But for the benefit of the doubt and to Gan's credibility, I've separated them as 2 different cubes because technically the edge base is a little bit thicker on the XS. But whatever, it's the same. It's really the same cube. Apart from those 2 factors, the only other thing is whether or not the magnets can be adjusted. So what I'm showing here is everything in green has some magnetic system that's adjustable, and then everything in red has basically glued in magnets that you can't adjust, or they're just non-existent. And I don't even really have to say anything past this point. You can see what's going on here. Gan is essentially just creating permutations of these 3 things every 2 months and releasing a new cube and charging a lot of money for it. So the clearest example of this is the XV1 and XV2. People knew just based on the name that the mechanism was largely the same, and the only difference was really the tensioning system. So they switched from the numerical IPG to this GES Plus system, which is also found in the XS. And then they also have the 356M, which has this other tensioning system. I think they call it the new GES system, and that's found in the 356M, 356M Lite, and the RS. So 3 different cubes that all have the same tensioning system. And what's kind of funny about this diagram is there's no green version, meaning one with adjustable magnets, that uses this new GES core. And that's definitely a puzzle that Gan could release. And honestly, I've tried it. So if you take an XV2, so that's what this is, and you throw in that middle tensioning system, it's actually a really good cube, but it doesn't really perform any differently than the XV1 or the XV2. It's just another core in the same cube. So that's one thing that's missing on this grid. And then there's the right column. So there's 2 question marks there because they haven't done anything with the excess pieces with the older cores, and I don't know if they will. But if they run out of ideas, that's certainly something that they could do. I really hope they don't, but they might. But what they've done currently is release this Air M, which is an XS without the magnets. But it's with the same tensioning system as the XS, and it's the same pieces. You just can't change the magnets. So looking at this grid and looking at how Gan has released puzzles in the past, couple of years, this is such a lazy way of making money, and they're milking people's ignorance, which is why I'm making this video. People are buying a ton of different Gan cubes, myself included, because it's not clear what the differences are between all of these puzzles. With the XV1 and XV2, it was clear enough that the pieces were the same, so people tended not to buy both of them, they just bought one or the other. But with other things like the XS and the Air M, they've actually changed the naming of the puzzles, and so you can't tell if it's the same pieces or not. And so people see the ARM and they think, oh, it's a new puzzle. It's a rehash of the Gan Air from a long time ago. No, it's actually a rehash of the XS, which of course might be a rehash of the ARM, whatever. It's all the same cube. The point is, by having all these different naming systems, people get confused. And when people get confused, they think it's a different product. They want to buy it. So if you're watching this video and you're trying to figure out which Gan Cube to get, I will tell you right now, it doesn't really matter because they're all basically the same thing. Basically pick one and just stick with it. I will let you know when they release something with the new mechanism that's actually worth buying. With all that being said, I will not review the ARM on this channel. It's a matter of principle. I don't want that cube. I don't want to review it. I don't want to own it because it's ridiculous that it exists. Now, if you're someone who doesn't own a Gan Cube and you are looking to get one, then maybe it's fine. You know, I support the idea that, you know, an ARM is another option that you can get. But if you already own a Gan Cube, there's, in my opinion, zero reason for you to get it because it's a rehash of a design that's been around for a while now, and they've just put in a new core, they've removed magnets, it's all the same stuff. And looking at this grid, if Gan seriously makes a cube with the Gan X pieces but with the new GS system and calls it like the XV 1.5, I will seriously lose my shit. Similarly, if they take the XS and they put in an older core in there and they release it as like the XSM or the XS Lite or something, yeah, I'm gonna lose my shit. So anyway, I know this was a negative video, but it had to be said. I'm pretty sick of all these new Gan Cubes that come out that aren't really new at all. So if you're in the market for a new Gan Cube, basically figure out which tensioning system you like the most, pick a cube based on that. It's not that complicated. It shouldn't be that complicated. And yeah, if you have trouble picking, just look at the diagram, figure out what you like, just go from there. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you agree or disagree, I'd love to have a discussion with you all. If you think this video is valuable for people to understand what Gan is doing or for deciding which Gan Cube to purchase, please share this video on different Facebook groups or social media. It'll help me out a lot, but it's going to help a lot of other people as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, hit the bell notification, and until next time, toodles.